Welcome to Balancing Acts. I'm your host, Linda Hamilton, and we're talking with Bob Nienaber about executive benefits and perks. If you love what you're watching, you can catch Now Media every show, including Balancing Acts, live or on demand anytime, 24/7 on nowmedia.tv. You can also download the Now Media TV app on Roku or Apple, and for instant access to our bilingual content in English and in Spanish. And you can get business news, culture, lifestyle. It's all streaming 24/7. So search Now Media TV on Roku or your favorite podcast and never miss a moment. Executive benefits, they're not just perks, but they're about creating a long-term financial security for leaders who are building growth companies, who are having a lot of success and do need to retain talent. Bob brings a humanitarian lens to his work, and he makes sure that the programs serve both the executives and the organizations. Bob, I know you've won humanitarian awards for your work. How do you bring that perspective into financial planning and benefits for businesses?
First off, thank you for having me this morning, Linda. When you think about the humanitarian award, people always ask me, where that came from and all that. That's just from years and years of working with Congress on the rules around executive plans. Working with charities, giving a lot back to the community, doing mentorship programs, all that stuff. So that just kind of comes out as a long-term career goes through its normal process. For plans, though, you bring up a great point. These are not just for the largest companies on the face of the planet. We're seeing more and more in the last 20 years. We're seeing most of the plans for much smaller companies that are doing 10, 20, $30 million are getting involved in these plans because, these aren't just perks. These are must-haves. Non-qualified plans are the most commonly used benefit programs that exist out there, but it could be a simple key person insurance program that gives the cash values to the participants when they retire. It could be a full-scale non-qualified plan like a deferred comp plan or defined contribution plan. It could even be a disability program. It could be a long-term care program, all wrapped in these programs. So it's all over the place, and it's really based on what the company's needs are. So the company's needs, whether you're big or small, are how do I keep my good people around? How do I get people that are excited so it's not always me, the company, throwing out just more and more money at them, but utilizing tax laws, Department of Labor regs, and ERISA regulations to make sure that the plans that are put in force for these people provide the best benefit for them. And so when we go through and we look at these things, a lot of companies are surprised that probably 50% of what we bring their people through our total rewards or concierge programs have nothing to do with the company paying at all. We work with, for example, the Department of Labor regs that have existed long before qualified plans, and they came out of the old pension rules, but they still have the plans that allow participants to get qualified plan dollars out 100% tax-free. And that's available from most providers. There's only one or two providers in America that don't allow their plans to be utilized in that fashion, which is, I understand the background of it. It's because they lose control of the assets and the participants take more controls. But if I'm somebody that has a $3, $4, $5 million qualified plan and I want to get that money out tax-free, those are people we talk with all the time. The other thing that happens all the time is people will bring plans that maybe they've grown out of and they don't know how to get out of the plans. Maybe there's surrender fees or something like that are locking them in or making them believe that they can't move their plan. So we give free audits to all our plans. Generally takes about 2 days. A small plan audit is going to generate an average of about $2 million back to the company and shareholders. Mid-sized plan is going to be about $5 to $7 million. But these are all real dollars. And so we look at the whole picture. When we're talking total rewards, we're looking at the company's demographics and what it's going to mean to set up a plan properly. We're looking at the ownership. We're looking at the participants. Maybe it's a pass-through. Maybe it's a C corporation or a non-for-profit. So whatever they are or however they're set up, we're going to go in there and not just show them a good plan. We're going to show them the best plan. We use a lot of AI. We use a lot of technology. We've been recognized for that. And we have one tool in particular. It's called the heat map that compares every single life insurance against one another so that when a company is implementing a plan, or if they already have a plan and they don't feel it's doing well, then we will take a look at all the products that are available in the market space, to make sure they have the best plan. And we do it on an annual basis to make sure if product changes, tax law changes, we're always in there with the best products.
So let's take a minute. How would a business leader or business owner know if something isn't working well for them in a plan? You've mentioned that a few times to look at what's the best fit. So what's a sign that you don't have a good plan?
It's really easy. If the company's putting out more money every year or the same amount of money that they would be paying the participants, then they have a bad plan. It's not operating under all the tax rules and regulations that actually help them with these plans. If a participant doesn't know how much money they're going to need at retirement, then the plan is ineffective. And so when we go through and just kind of looking at that, so if I'm a company and I've put in $5-10 million into a plan with participant deferrals going into it, and it's not yielding a profit, I don't have excess coming out of that plan. It's a bad design plan. If I'm a participant and I can't get information on how to transition dollars as I'm getting ready to retire, and then how to get that money out either tax preferred or tax free at retirement, then I'm really in a bad relationship. And that's where really we're an RICP office. We're a registered investment retirement office. And so we look at things. We don't just look at things that really are related to the plan. We go outside of the plan. If they have outside money that they've inherited from somebody, if they've have qualified plans that we don't manage, we go into all those values to look at it and show them exactly how to get those dollars out in a much more favorable method. And so, like I said, I'm from California. We have the worst tax hit in the country. And so any state tax program is going to be better. And a lot of people that come to us, they say, how do I get this money out without paying state taxes and that type of thing? And there's been programs, rules on the books, on the IRS code for the last 35 years that enable you to do that. And so we look at all these things. Those things don't cost a company a dime. Those are really consultative type of programs that help people understand it and get the maximum out of it. That's why our plans, the industry average participation rate is less than 40%. We're well over 95%. It's because people know what's going on. Companies understand them. Companies are fully putting as much money as they can into these programs because they operate in a tax-free world once they get it set up properly. So it really does give the company and the participants 100% better place to look and understand what's going on. The best conversations you can have is when you provide a report card. And we do that every year for every one of our participants so that they can share it at home with their spouse. The spouse sees us go to work every day. And so they know we're okay. But when we retire, what's that going to mean? That's pretty scary. And, everybody knows that financial conversations are one of the biggest scary points in a marriage. Well, you want your spouse to know. You want to know. You want your tax advisors to know so that, if I'm reaching out to somebody like you, Linda, I'm going to want to make sure you're on the same page with us so that you understand what we're doing with that client of yours and to make sure that you guys are both getting the most out of it.
And as you talked about this, taxes are a big part of many decisions, right? Because once you pay out the taxes, the money's gone, right? It's not ready to be reinvested or you can't use it. It's just gone. It's gone to the government. So being able to defer taxes and minimize them as well is a strategy most business owners, executive companies are looking for. For the executives themselves, what should they be asking when they evaluate benefit packages? And I don't know if I'm thinking about employee executives you might hire, your management team, or if I'm thinking about the owner as well, because they're making choices about what to do with their money. That's part of what balancing acts is about. There's a lot of demands for time and money. So how do you spend it? So what about that? What should they be asking?
No, that's a great question. There's an old math formula out there. It's been around for 100 years. You take $1, you double it every year. For 20 years, you have $1 million. You plug a 40% tax into it, and now you have $12,000. It's going to take you a decade just to make up for the difference, and that's because of taxes. And so these are important conversations. When we go in and we do our total rewards live conversations with every participant, we show them how to get and maximize the human life value. Because, when you pay taxes this year and you've got another 20, 30 years of life left, you didn't just pay taxes this year. You lost the ability, as you said, Linda, you lost the ability for those dollars to compound interest. They're out of your being. And nobody knows this better than the IRS or the state tax auditors. They want that money. And so we work with folks that, let's say they're coming into retirement and they're too low. They're not going to have enough. They're not going to be able to support, the expected 20, 30 years lifespan after retirement. We help them get back on track. And we do this with a lot of either individual programs, helping them with their investments so they understand real risk and real reward. A lot of people think that putting everything into the S&P 500 is less risky than bonds. But if bonds don't keep up with inflation, if bonds don't keep up with cost of living, that is the most aggressive risk that you can have working against you. And so we help people understand all that so that they understand and can mitigate the fears in their own personal lives and what they're doing. But then we target a number that they're going to have based on their current income. So they know what it's going to mean for them today when they're doing any type of deferrals in a 401k or deferred comp or whatever it may be. And they know that if they're not taking matches from companies, how much they're losing or leaving on the table. And we want them to see that because people are such visual learners. We want them to see that, understand that. We want their spouses involved. And again, their tax advisors, attorneys, all these folks want them involved because that's the only way they're going to get there. You're going to more than double your capability of retirement if you have this type of instruction. If you don't, sadly, America doesn't teach us in schools. And so we don't really learn it that way. So we need assistance.
And on that note, we're going to take a break in a moment. But when we come back, I do want to talk to you some about the platform and the technology and assessments you work with. I think it's great when, executives feel secure, their teams are, you talk to your spouse. It is a team sport, planning, which is very complicated. Bob, tell us how we can find you online.
Well, if you're one of the senior executives or HR director, you can reach me directly. I prefer that. I travel the world quite a bit. But my phone is always with me, and that's 916-838-0866. If you want to go to our website and see a lot of learning guides out there and videos, and we do it in a very simplistic fashion. We have them on cartoons so that people can pull it up, and it's generally 1 or 2 minute videos. They can go to www.BenefitRFP.com and they can track us down that way as well.
Thank you so much, and stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Bob about different things you can do with executive benefits and retirement packages. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.